This is via Variety, Mason. An article titled, and this bodes well, Toxic Fandom, How Hollywood is Battling Fans Who Are Just Out for Blood, from social media boot camps to superfan focus groups. Here we go. I'm going to read snippets of this article. But essentially, you know what? I'll just do the article thing.
Let's do the article.
Why am I going to explain it when I can just do this?
Yeah.
The threat of toxic fandoms poisoning the enthusiasm has become a seemingly intractable headache for almost every studio, and it's only getting worse. This is a quote from somebody anonymously.
This is intractable.
Yes. It cannot be tracked. People are just out for blood regardless. They think the purity of the first version will never be replaced, or you've done something to upset the canon of a beloved franchise, and they're going to take you down for doing so. An entire YouTube ecosystem is devoted to declaring projects like The Marvels and The Boys woke garbage. So, yeah, that is true. But it said perhaps...
It's an industry now.
Yes.
We talked about it when we talked to Will
we did.
Yesterday, yeah.
And you could listen to that, but it's too late.
It is too late.
It's gone now.
Yeah, it's gone
The
forever.
episode we're half an hour or so in and it's
I mean,
gone.
it will be out. It'll be out for free. Not the video, but the audio will be on.
Oh, yeah. It'll be
on the regular philosophy feed. Everyone
I hope so.
relax. Yes.
I would love to be on that show, which we were.
were.
I shouldn't have brought up Dracula, but he collects bones, Mason. I'm gonna have to live with that for
You're
the
going to
rest of my
regret it
life.
forever, yeah.
Yeah, maybe he'll take it out. Do you think he'll take it out?
You could ask him.
Do you think he'll take it out?
You could ask him.
I won't ask him, but do you think he'll just be like, this is bad, and he'll take it out instinctively?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Perhaps the greatest irony of this phenomena is the disproportionate impact these toxic fandoms have relative to the actual number. I think that is the most true thing in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the loudest voices, and they do they make an impact, and they harass people and make and the videos get millions of views and comments and likes and shares and all of that. But to create a fandom, it has to go beyond that. It seems like the biggest fandom, but it's a fraction.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
For a show to be successful, it has to go well beyond that.
Yeah, we've talked about this for a long time. If you got just the comic book buying public,
that's 30,000 people.
Yeah, exactly, and you got them to buy. Only they were going to buy the tickets for the movies they thought were accurate and relevant and true to the books or whatever. That doesn't move the needle at all.
No.
These movies need to be sold to everybody, otherwise they're not making their money back.
Those who did talk with Variety all agreed that the best defense is to avoid provoking fandoms in the first place. So in addition to standard focus group testing, studios will assemble a specialized cluster of superfans to assess possible marketing materials for a major franchise project.
So marketing materials.
Yeah, I
so
know, that's interesting. So not
the content of what they're making.
No.
Just how to sell it to people.
So you're not even pleasing anybody then, really?
No. And what's interesting about this, and the most prominent example, I think, and you already know where I'm going with this, I think, James, is The Last Jedi was a movie that we like very much, but was very divisive. And then what Lucasfilm did is they capitulated to all the outraged fans and all the YouTube videos saying this movie sucks and blah blah blah, and they corrected, and they made a movie that no one likes.
Yes,
so it's evidently it doesn't work at all.
No,
and then they just stopped making Star Wars movies.
That movie also made a shitload of money,
right?
Like The Last Jedi, not as much as The Force Awakens, but it never was going to. Like The Empire Strikes Back didn't make as much money as the original Star Wars. It's the way it was. Yeah. The Force Awakens was like a cultural phenomenon.
This is the way.
This is the way. Yeah. They're very vocal, said a studio exec. They will tell us if you do that, fans are going to retaliate. These groups have even led studios to alter the projects. There you go. If it's early enough and the movie isn't finished yet, we can make those kind of changes.
You shouldn't though.
Here's the thing, right? As we've talked about, I think the problem is the reason why streaming numbers are dipping. It's not because of these fandoms like screaming at you, and I'm sure that is fucking annoying. Like I can imagine it would be unrelenting and annoying.
Yes,
and it'd be hard to ignore. But I think we've got this glut of like Marvel and Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, and it's just exhausting to keep track of and like keep up with. And we've said this before, but if you just make less things and make them better, all this idea of like forced diversity and going back to the source material and whatever, that goes away.
Yeah.
If you make a good project, there's no argument to be made that it was destroyed because there's a female lead or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, Andor has a Latino lead, right? And has a very diverse cast. And look, it's
got British people again.
It's got British people, yuck, obviously. And it did super well, you know, like, and there are a lot of examples like that of just a thing that is made well and people like, and it's either critically well received or it like commercially does very well. Like, because if you look at like, you know, like what Star Wars have been putting out, you know, like Mandalorian season 3, Ahsoka, like that fucking the Acolyte or whatever, like mid-tier Marvel movies, like Ms. Marvel was like, I didn't even hate it, but it was fine, and I'm not going into bat for it, you know, like I'm not going to defend this. Like Lord of the Rings again, the second season is stronger. It's fine. Game of Thrones.
Are you watching that?
I'm a couple episodes behind, but it is stronger than the last season. I don't really like new Game of Thrones, right? Either, but it's just because they're just okay, like they're just not great, and it's not because of all the shit in like the people perceive it to be. They're just not that good or interesting.
Absolutely.
And they cut seasons short, and they like the budget gets ripped out of things.
They do a season of things. They do a new season of a thing every 2 years if you're lucky. Otherwise it's longer. And I think people are drifting away. It's, you know, on the most basic level of like, if somebody says, "Hey, what's a good trick for having people listen to your podcast?" You'd say, do it every week. Yeah. Like pick a release schedule that's consistent, because otherwise,
and have the time of your life.
Exactly. And you know, because if you skip a week with no explanation, people just go and find something else. Yeah. It's the same with this. If you're not producing people will lose track of the characters. They're
like
just
3 or 4 years between seasons of Game of Thrones or whatever. Like, I don't know who any of these people are.
And speaking of, you know, you were saying just make it good and it'll work.
Yeah. And that's easy to say, obviously.
Well, it is, isn't it? But I think you see that a lot in the gaming sphere, from what I can gather.
Yeah.
Where people will be really critical of a thing. Oh, it's so woke and DEI and all this sort of stuff. But if it's good, they find ways to say it's not woke.
Exactly.
Have you seen that?
Bend over backwards, yeah.
They were like, Baldur's Gate 3, well, it's not, but I mean...
Everybody's gay in that,
Yeah, they're right there. It's not successful. It's successful because it's not woke, and it's like, what are you talking... Well, they don't throw it in your face. Well, they kind of do.
It's like that game where it's just basically Starship Troopers. It's like, well, there's no political messages in this, and like, I don't even know how to like come at you with that. Like, your base level of knowledge doesn't have the foundation for me to explain anything to you.
Right.
You know, like... Yeah. So, like, the option is you strip everything back and you make less and you make it better and consistently.
But they're not allowed to do that anymore.
But you're not allowed to.
Because the shareholders are like... Again, the shareholders are like, remember when you made those Avengers movies and they made $1 billion? Just do that 5 times a year.
Yeah.
If you just do that 5 times a year, we'll be happy.
And so you got that, which they probably won't do. Or option 2 is you cater to all these big sooks, and then we just get a fucking deep faked Luke Skywalker who time travels to stop Order 66 with his fucking dad or whatever. Which, by the way, sounds incredible now that I say it out loud.
Right,
obviously.
it's a perfect idea.
And General Grievous's ghost is there and he goes, "Hello, I'm here too." I don't know. Do you know, like that? We're just going to get that shit. And I don't want that. I want like good new things.
Right.
You know?
Well, I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? There are a lot of people out there who don't want new good things. They want the things they remember from when they were kids.
Yeah. Well, all your heroes are dead.
Yeah, that's
in real life, but I guess they can bring them back.
That's right. Peter Cushing's dead.
He died.
Your hero, Peter Cushing. He's not coming back.
I think also this speaks to like, you know, that new Star Wars Ubisoft game, right?
Oh, Outlaws?
Outlaws.
Right.
And I'm going to buy it when it's like $12 next week. But it sold like 1 million units, which for a Star Wars game is very little. And again, there is that argument of like, well, you know, it's got it's diverse lead and whatever, because it's a woman, etc.
They made her less hot than in real life.
Made her less hot.
That's what I saw. They were like, look, the model in real life, she's so hot, and they made her less hot.
God, that's crazy. I would hate that. If that was me, if someone made me less hot,
right?
Whenever we get fan art and I'm less hot, God, I don't like it. But like, that game has done poorly because it was unfinished when they put it out. Also, it's fine, by the way.
All right.
But it's unfinished when they put it out, and it's off the back of 12 years of Ubisoft releasing the same game.
Sure.
So, like, you're going to have to make something, like, better than okay for people to respond.
But can they do that 5 times a year?
No, they obviously can't. But, what? So you make more games to get the same amount of return, but they're worse. And they all sell
Jane,
worse.
You don't know anything about business. Yes, that's what they're going to do.
I don't mind this part of it, though. So when things get really bad, especially involving threats on the internet, security firms will scrub talent information from the internet to protect them from doxing. So that is something. Like,
I mean, they haven't really done that yet.
No, they haven't at all. But if they started to do that, that would be pretty cool.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, if people don't find out where you live. And try to kill you.
I mean, it seems to have been an awful lot of like just putting the stuff out there and then throwing the female actors to the wolves, you know.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's happening right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Isn't it good that movies and TV are where they're at?
I think so.
For good or ill?
Because the only way is up or down.
There's plenty of room down there, right?
So much room.
We could get lower.
We
More
could-
stuff, but like worse.
More AI remakes of things.
Yeah.
Did you see that AI trailer? It was a remake of the trailer for Princess Mononoke.
Oh my, yeah, I
and
did
it was
see
like,
that. I saw.
I've heard the guy that made this movie doesn't like AI. He said it was like antithetical to life itself or
It's
something.
true, yeah.
But he's like, but I'm going to make it anyway because it's pretty good. And it's exactly it's every
I know,
AI trailer. It's just
yeah.
people looking. Just people just looking.
But also all the characters look different in every
yeah.
frame or what.
Yeah.
Awful.
But this is just the tip of the iceberg, James.
Yeah.
Soon it'll be 90 minutes of that. Of just a horse going and then cut to somebody going, and then a castle and then somebody else going, a princess going,
Yeah.
90 minutes.
And there's a bad narration.
But it only costs like 10 grand, so,
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah, it's a big return.
long as
If
it's
everybody
cheap.
pays $1.
Yeah, everything's bad. Speaking of,
Go on.
should we move on to our review?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.